of posters issued in the name of the CHRF, inciting others to take revenge, to carry out so-called renovation all over the city, and so on. But we have already sought clarification with the CHRF. They denied that this was their publicity materials, and we welcome the fact that the CHRF has distanced themselves from violence. We appeal to CHRF not to cover up or glorify such violence acts. Because the so-called registration is just vandalism. And then in the past few days, we see various unlawful activities being carried out at shopping malls. Many young people were arrested. We know that young people are not yet mature, so they could be easily mobilized to do something. So we must warn those with ulterior motives not to take advantage of young people, because young people may not know that what they do could ruin their future. And then on the 27th Street, young people younger than 14-year-old were throwing objects down to the ground level from podium at Sham Shui Po. The police arrived, and then knives and air rifles, which were fully loaded, were found on them. And then on the 29th, 3 young children aged 13 and 14 drove away a public van, and that would pose a serious danger to other road users. It shows that young people no longer observe the law as they do. The police has been in active communication with various groups to provide assistance to young people. We have been working with different organizations to take part in the community support service scheme operated by the Social Welfare Department. There are 5 designated NGOs providing support service to arrested young people. The scheme already covers arresting young people under the age of 18 with the consent of the young people and their parents or guardians. We would refer these young people to receive services from some social service organizations. There will be professional counseling and support for them. We hope that through these various referral services, we could work together to guide young people to comply with the law, so they won't regret if they should make a mistake. And then last weekend, we arrested 34 people, including 31 men and 3 women, aged between 13 and 50. The offences included loitering, possession of tools that could be used for illegal purposes, unlawful assembly, obstruction of police, assaulting police, and so on. And we would also like to make a clarification. Recently, a person who made a complaint to the capo claimed that he received a letter from police saying that he must give evidence within 30 days, otherwise the investigation will terminate. The police must clarify that such an allegation is not correct. The case referred to in the letter is not the case of complaint lodged by the complainant, but rather it refers to another case. But because of personal privacy, we are not at liberty to say too much. But we could clarify that that particular case has nothing to do with the recent public protests. The capo has not indicated that we would end the investigation. We stress that we will follow the established mechanism to follow up on any complaint case, that we will not resort to any other means to try to end the investigation deliberately. And that case will also be under the IPCC for the scrutiny. Now,
thank you, Mr. Kwok. And on New Year's Eve at Causeway Bay, Lan Kwai Fong, Wan Chai North, and near Central Pier, there would be special traffic arrangements. I would first talk about the traffic arrangements in Causeway Bay. You can look at the road section in red in Causeway Bay. From 4 p.m. till 12 midnight, it will be converted into a pedestrian zone, including East Point Road and part of Great George Street. And depending on the situation of the crowd at that time, if necessary, the road section in orange would also be sealed off, including part of Great George Street, Sugar Street, Kingston Street, Canning Street, the northbound lane of the Tai Hang flyover, and the southbound and northbound direction of Gloucester Street, and outside the green section, and that is the lay-by near the typhoon shelter. If necessary, the lay-by will be suspended from 9 p.m. that night. At Lan Kwai Fong, the special traffic arrangements would be implemented in two phases. In the first phase, starting from 2 p.m. till 6 a.m. the following day, the orange section would be sealed off, including part of Drake Street and Wellington Street, Lan Kwai Fong, Onan Lane, and War On Lane. In the second phase, if necessary, starting from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. the next day, the section in blue would be sealed off, including part of Drake Street, Stanley Street, Queens Road Central, and Lower Albert Road. And along Wan Chai North, from 9 p.m. in the evening, depending on the crowd conditions at that time, the sections in green would be sealed off, including the Expo Drive to the south of Fleming Street, Expo Drive Central, and Expo Drive East, Lechco Road. And in the central area, near the Central Pier, depending on crowd conditions, the roads marked in green could be sealed off, including Tim Wah Avenue, Edinburgh Place, Manfai Street, Mekong Street, and the Central Pier terminus. And 5 minutes before the countdown, that is 11:55 p.m., depending on crowd conditions, and if necessary, we would also seal off part of Mampole Street and Manmore Street. That is the section in red. And near Expo Drive, while the Wan Chai North will no longer be accessible via the central Wan Chai bypass, while the westbound exit would also be limited. And the eastbound traffic at Connaught Road Central must enter the bypass in order to reach North Point, so please do use other roads, and the traffic arrangement would be restored after the crowds are dispersed. Thank you. On the 1st of January 2020, there will be a major public audit event on Hong Kong Island, and I would like to issue some reminders. In the afternoon on the 1st of January, there will be two parts to the public audit event, including the public meeting that will take place at the central lawn of Victoria Park, as well as a public procession that would begin from Victoria and end at the Chater Road pedestrian area. With regards to these public audit events, the police issued a letter of no objection to the organizer yesterday. As with the past, when necessary, at Victoria Park, Tin Hau, and Causeway Bay, the police would adopt crowd control measures. We also urge participants to these events to use public transport to reach Victoria Park. Meanwhile, the public should also follow instructions from police officers at the site as well as inspectors from the organizer in order to enter Victoria Park in an orderly manner and take part in the subsequent march. In terms of the route of the march, the police would open up the entire westbound lane along the route of the march and part of the tram routes. The eastbound lane of the route would be reserved for emergency vehicles as well as the eastbound traffic. Apart from the above arrangements, the police would also like to issue a few key reminders. First of all, the police has all along respected the rights for the public to take part in assemblies and processions, and our policy has been to facilitate peaceful public order events. Meanwhile, we are also obliged to ensure public safety, public order, as well as safeguarding the rights and freedom of other people. Meanwhile, the organizer is also obliged to assist the police in managing these public order events. We expect the organizer to follow the conditions laid out in the letter of no objection, to arrange 300 or more inspectors to help manage the events. In case of contingencies or violent clashes, both the organizer and the inspectors are obliged to help the police disperse the crowds or evacuate the crowd to ensure that all participants can leave the scene in an orderly and safe manner. When the venue of the procession or assembly is no longer safe for the sake of public order and safety, the public might dismiss the public order event. Therefore, if the police requests a dismissal of the events, we expect the organizer and the inspectors to help the police in urging the participants to leave immediately. You can see that in the past months, many large-scale public order events were hijacked by a number of people with ulterior motives, and many peaceful events became or turned into violent clashes or even riots. And these and such irresponsible acts have breached the rule of law in Hong Kong and deprived the rights of others to take part in lawful assemblies and processions. So with regards to the coming public order events, I urge protesters to stop using violence. Meanwhile, I hope the Hong Kong public would say no to violence and stop condoning, harboring, or glorifying violence, and they should not turn a blind eye on violence as well. The police would not tolerate any violence, and we would take out decisive enforcement action in order to safeguard the lives and properties of the public. Finally, once again, I urge all participants to pay attention to the instructions issued by the police as well as the inspectors of the organizer in taking part in the public order event on the coming Sunday. I would now hand over to Mr. Kwok. To summarize, rioters and their supporters have recently targeted shopping malls in causing destruction, and these are merely violent acts with no reason or meaning. Even though the public order event that will take place on the 1st of January is supposedly peaceful, from past marches, we could see that some violent protesters would exploit such opportunities in causing violence. Even though we issued a letter of no objection and the CHRF indicated that this will be a peaceful activity, I urge all participants to remain vigilant and pay attention to the conditions at the scene. If should anything happen, please follow the instructions of the police. The police warns rioters to stop disrupting the order of our community and inciting hate or even encouraging our young people to commit serious crimes. We would not tolerate any acts of violence, and we would put those to justice. We are going to see a new year soon, and once again, I urge the public to say no to violence so that we can restore peace and order in Hong Kong.
Over the past 2 days, rioters used the excuse of shopping and inflicted extensive damage to various shopping centers in Shanghai and Kowloon Bay. Recklessly and ruthlessly, master rioters vandalized shops and restaurants and harassed shoppers and diners, young and old. What's worse, in the small hours of yesterday, rioters hurled a petrol bomb at a targeted restaurant that they thought were unsupportive of the extremist view. All these are, no doubt, criminal acts that must not be condoned or glorified. Rioters are terrorizing the public with their childlike tactics. Whoever disagrees with their violence will be met with violence. They claim to be fighting for their right, but they're actually trampling others' right to enjoy peace and safety. They claim to be fighting for freedom, but they're depriving others of their freedom to express dissenting views. They claim to be fighting for justice, but they are taking justice into their own hands. The police strongly condemn all these unlawful and immoral acts of rioters. To prevent history from repeating itself, we have maintained a very close communication with the organizer of a major public event to be held on Hong Kong Island on the 1st of January. We always respect citizens' freedom of speech and rights to assembly. Meanwhile, we are also duty-bound to maintain law and order. We appeal to the organizer and all participants to remain rational and peaceful during the public event. Public safety should be the top priority. Over the weekend, during our arrest operation, we arrested a large number of youngsters and are very alarmed that some criminals incite youngsters to commit crime. We have even come across cases where teachers lead students in criminal acts. On 27th of December, 3 teenagers aged below 14 were found throwing objects from a balcony onto the ground in a residential building in Sham Shui Po. They even had folding knife and loaded air shotgun in their possession. This saw the spreading of lawlessness among youngsters who are impressionable and easily misguided by criminals. In response, the police maintained close communication with different community service groups to provide assistance to our youngsters. For example, the police participated in the Community Support Service Scheme run by the Social Welfare Department and the NGO. The police will refer underage arrested persons to the department and NGO given they and their guardian have given consent. They will provide professional support and counseling services. Moving on to arrest figures, over the weekend, we arrested 34 people consisting of 31 male and 3 female, aged between 13 and 50 years. Offences include unlawful assembly, loitering, and assaulting police officers. In terms of clarification, we are aware that one man told the press he received a letter from the police asking him to make a statement regarding a complaint against police within 30 days, or else the investigation will be curtailed. We would like to clarify such accusation is false. The letter was not regarding a complaint report, but another case involving the same person. Due to privacy concerns, I can't comment further, but I can assure you that this incident has nothing to do with the ongoing protest. We can assure you that we have a well-established mechanism to deal with campaign. Campaign against police office has no plan to terminate the investigation into the relevant campaign report. In conclusion, the year 2019 has almost come to an end. Hong Kong people had a bumpy year, where widespread rioting pushed the city to the brink of extreme danger. I believe most citizens are fed up with this ongoing social unrest and long for peace and stability. However, rioters have been putting their own interests above public interest, putting their own demand over the well-being of the whole population. It's high time we put an end to violence and restore social order in Hong Kong. On the first day of 2020, there will be a public procession expected to draw a large turnout. We appeal to the organizer and participant to remain calm and rational. Let us kickstart 2020 with peace and get Hong Kong back on the right track. Thank you.